everyone, and welcome to my channel. This is Maggie. If you're new here, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. And if you've been here before, then welcome back. I thank you both for spending time with me. Alright, so today we are going to really get started on this library journal. I don't want it to drag out too long. I try to do as much prep work beforehand. I mean, you don't need to see me folding papers and, all that sort of thing. But I did want it to be a start to finish. Now, before I begin actually doing what I need to do here, I would like to show you these hidden paper clips that we did the other day. I hadn't decorated them yet, and they're not really decorated. I still need to put something on the back, but these are them. I took my hole punch and punched out these little figures from one of the pieces of cardstock, this piece right here. And then I just put a little piece of, in this case, muslin, and just another little scrap of fabric and a little tiny label on it. So these are the 3 paper clips that I made. I don't know that I'll use all 3 of them, but we'll see. And like I said, I'm going to put something on the back of these so that regardless if you're looking at them from the front or the back, they at least have some decoration. Anyway, I just think they turned out really cute the way they are, and I like them. And these are so much fun to make, and they're really very easy. I don't make these for all of my journals. I used to when I first started making them. For me, it's like anything else. If I really like something, I'll just go nuts with it. And so I use these in all of my journals, but I kind of got away from it a little bit, and now I'm coming back into it because they really are helpful if you don't want to stuff a pocket or something. And I do have some pieces of pretty heavy cardstock in here that could handle a chunkier piece of ephemera with just a paper clip. So we will be using those. And I am so tickled. This is the simplest thing. I told you I get excited. It doesn't take much to get me excited. But I think I was watching Scrapbooking with Me. I don't know if it was last night or the night before, but in her video, she was, in the beginning, kind of like this, she was telling, she talks about her shop and what she has in it. And she was saying that she carries the tops for these sugar bell bottles in her shop sometimes, but they don't always have them. And I stopped using these sugar bell bottles because they were clogging up so bad, and it was driving me nuts. And none of the pins fit in here that I have, or if they fit, they would rust, and then I'm sure you know how that goes. So she mentioned using needle protectors as caps for these. She said they fit perfectly. So this morning I went down to our room where we keep all that stuff, and lo and behold, I had some in my stash. I knew I would. It was just a matter of locating them. It's been a little minute since I've knitted, and I love knitting. I do enjoy it. It's so relaxing. And but I seem to be pretty busy with these journals and then the videos, and then my granddaughter usually comes out to spend some time with me in the evenings, so I haven't really felt I had the time to knit. So anyway, I found these needle protectors. Now, I'm sure that you can get these on Amazon. I haven't bought any in several years, and when I did buy them, my daughter carried them in her shop. So let me just look here real quick and see how much these are, because I'm sure these are probably less expensive than the caps. And they fit nice and tight. I'm hoping they work as well as I think they will. So let me just look here real quick. I don't know, maybe they've gone way up in price since we had them, or since she had them in her shop. I know this may be a waste of time, but... Oh, okay, so Amazon does have them. You can get 30 pieces for $4.99, or you can get 28 pieces for $4.49. And they come in different assortments, a little bit different shapes. There are even some animal ones, like this one here is a sock. And I'm sure I probably have the mate to this and probably a couple of others somewhere in my knitting stash. So anyway, yeah, I'm so happy because I'm hoping that my glue, especially the Fabri-Tac, will not get all clogged and stopped up. So I'm going to give these a try for sure. They're not very expensive, so if you have that same problem, then this is really a good solution, I do believe. All right, so I've showed you those things, got that out of the way. Now, for the journal itself. All right, so I did cover the front and back and the spine. I did decide to go ahead and just do a, not a hidden spine, just do a regular spine. And I covered my front and back covers. I love this particular piece of background paper. I have to look and see where I got it from. It may have come from my porch prints, but I can't say that for sure. I've used it in several of my journals. I used it in the Alice in Wonderland journal for something. I've used it in several journals for different things. It's very versatile. It's not directional. And I personally think it complements this fabric very well as a book cover. It kind of reminds me of the inside, what they'd put on the inside covers of a book. So I'm happy with that. I did make a quick template. This is just a one signature journal, so in reality, I probably don't need a template for it. But it never hurts to be on the safe side. So I went ahead and made a template for it, and I'm going to go ahead and punch my holes in the spine, since this is going to be, well, I don't know, there's a lot of papers there, and some of them are very thick, so. And I just make my templates. I don't always use a template, but when I learned to make junk journals and first started making them, that's how I learned. And so I've continued to do it pretty much with all my journals, but occasionally I don't because there's no need to. And I probably could have gotten by it without it with this journal, like I said, because it is just a single signature. But I'm going to do it the way I learned, which I guess is the correct way. So like I said, I just used a piece of cardstock, scraps cardstock. And sometimes I try to keep these templates because they do come in handy. You don't have to remake them. But I haven't actually, because I've been doing the hidden spines so much lately, I haven't really needed one. So, and these little foam packing pieces came with a printer or some other piece of equipment that I have. So I've got my supplies right here that I'm going to use. And we're just going to put our hole in. This actually goes through this chipboard very smoothly. I'm pleasantly surprised about that. I do want to make sure this is a nice big hole. Now this, because I wasn't sure when I started this, how large I was going to make my spine, or if I was even going to do just a single signature journal or not. I did make it bigger than it needed to be, so but I think that'll work to my advantage. Okay, so I've got these patched. Now I am betting that these holes on the fabric are going to kind of close back up the way fabric tends to do. So I'm just going to go through with the owl. It always sounds like I'm saying owl. And try to punch them, make them a little bigger. Alrighty. So we have that. Now we can do our book, our signature. I'm going to thread my needle before I do this, so that's ready to go. Okay, so there's our holes all ready to go. Alright, so let me just set this aside for a moment. Now I debated about the thread I wanted to use. I really like these kind of more goldish brown colors. I have to be sure I keep this turned the right way. Goldish brown colors, I think they do really complement what's in this book, what's on the cover, but my center is pretty dark, as you can see, and while it's alright, it still shows, so I thought I would use this darker thread. Let me get it out of this packing because okay, so that blends in a little bit better, and it still blends in with the book because the cover, because it's very dark. So I'm gonna go with this one, even though I like these other two better. I can't pick those up. Okay, so I'll set all that aside for the moment. I do need these, sorry for the racket. And I need a needle. Okay, so I tend to make this string, this thread much longer than it needs to be, because I usually do like to put a dangle in it. Now I haven't even made any dangles. I haven't made any dangles for this yet, and I'm not. So let me see. That's 3. I think that was 3. What was it 4? But I probably will. If not, then I'll at least tie beads on these strings. 3, 4. I believe 3 is the recommended that you do. So I usually do 1 extra plus a little bit, just because. If you can hear, that's my little Annabelle. Sometimes she has to put her 2 cents in, but my goodness, when she does get barking about something, she has a very high-pitched bark that can drive you absolutely crazy, but she doesn't do it like her brother Canelo barks, so it's not like she's barking at every little thing. All right, I'm gonna before I clip this together, I want to go through and make sure my page is all straight, and I want to make sure that I put this in the right way, because I've flip-flopped it more than once, and just glancing at it, you know, didn't know which side I was, so I need to make sure that that's correct and that all my pages are correct. Oh, the other thing I was tickled about today is my daughter sent me a text message first thing this morning of some, she works at the school library, and they were library cards, checkout cards back from the 80s and 90s. Now that's not real old, but she asked me if I could use them, and I said, most definitely, I will use them in this journal. So, whoops, what do we got going on here? Well, where are you supposed to be, my friend? Let's put you right here. Now, this piece printed upside down on the back. It was one of the background pages in one of the kits. And I really liked it just because of all the little books and glasses and everything that it had on it. But when I ran it back through the printer to do the other side, I thought I was putting it in correctly, but I obviously wasn't. And this was after I had to reprint almost all of my pages because when I put them in back in like I normally do, they all came out printed upside down. So I said, well, that will not do. So I had to reprint them. And I just do not like wasting, like I said, paper and ink that way. So when I discovered this one, I really wanted to use it, but one side is upside down. And I'm just going to say it adds to the character of the journal, but I'll probably put, a pocket or something on here to kind of camouflage it a little bit. So anyway, it's just a little character flaw maybe, but one that makes it more charming. Just tracing paper. I love this tracing. I never really thought to use this in a journal until just recently. I've got a couple of packs of it, and I've never used it for the purpose that I bought it for, so I thought, oh, that will go good in a journal. Piece of old music page. And then the center page. So these may look similar, the front and the back, but they're really quite different. They have a lot of detail, interesting detail in them, and I really like them. I wish they weren't so dark, but because of the era that they're representative of, and the furniture and the books, it's going to be dark anyway. That's just the way that it is. And but I just love it. It's just got so much detail. I think it's really interesting to look at. Same with this one, kind of different setup, but just as interesting with so many different details to look at. There's a couple of more pages like this, and I actually may take and print those out and just make really large journal cards out of them, because the architecture and everything is just, I think it's just beautiful. We were always drawn to old big houses. That's just the way it was. And we liked them. Our first home that we bought, my husband and I together, he had been home from Vietnam for maybe about a year. And I'm not entirely sure why we purchased that first home. I know I'm just trying to think back. I don't remember. But we liked it. It was big. We're just the two of us. We were just kids practically. And we bought this great big old house. It had 3 stories. It had one of those, what do they call them? Widow's Peaks. For the, I think that's what it's called, a Widow's Peak. were typically, you know, Saginaw, this was in Saginaw, and we lived on Saginaw Bay. We weren't like in walking distance to it or anything, but I'm presuming that style was popular because of the shipping that goes through the Great Lakes. And, you know, Saginaw was a big mining area, not mining, lumber. Oh, Maggie, get it together. A big lumber area. A lot of timber was shipped out of Saginaw, and Saginaw was named for the Saginaw Indian tribe. So maybe the Widow's Peak was popular, if that's what it was called, the Widow's Tower, because when the husbands were out to sea, supposedly she could look out the tower and see if she saw his ship coming in. So it goes. That's what I remember anyway. And so we had this huge house. I think the downstairs had a huge kitchen, a huge pantry, and it had a formal dining room. There were pocket doors everywhere. It seems like there was a living room and then 2 parlors besides the living room and the dining room. 2 parlors. And I know there was a bathroom downstairs, just like a half bath. And all these rooms had these pocket doors on them, you know, these big, huge, heavy pocket doors. And it also had like an anteroom, you know, where you come in and to one area, you know, you come through the front door, and in that area you can take your coat off, and because that's usually kind of warm right there, the air is kind of sealed in, so when it's cold outside. And then you would come into the main part of the house through another door. And so here we were with this great big house. Alrighty, so that looks pretty good. I think one of the secrets here is when you fold your paper, I usually give it a good pressing. There's quite a few pages in here. I didn't count them because I'm afraid to. But I will count them. And so let's try to get this sewn in. Oh, I gotta make the holes. Maggie. And I need my template. I usually mark the template top and bottom because I want to make sure that they're going to line up, because if you're just kind of eyeballing it and you go through the whole thing all at once, that's one thing. But if you're doing them separately, the spine separate from your signature, then you may not be aligned. I mean, that has happened to me before. And so I've learned to put like a little line at the top of my template and just write top. Very technical. And all I do to make my templates is I cut them as wide as I want to out of a piece of cardstock. And then I mark I know that the papers are about a ½ an inch bigger than you know, smaller than the height of the actual journal cover. So I just mark a ½ inch because I know it's going to be a ½ inch on top, I mean a ¼ inch on the top and the bottom. I find the center by just folding it, and I fold it in half this way, and then I just mark my dots. It's not difficult. It's not difficult. I think in the beginning it might have been a little bit more difficult because I didn't know, I was unfamiliar with the whole process, and I didn't know what I was doing. So, all right, everybody, wish me luck. This is going to be a challenge to get through. Oh, gee whiz, that just was wonderful. Thank you. All right. Now, you know what I'll do sometimes? I will stick my needle in here, especially when I don't have this held down with a clip, so that it doesn't slide on me. Oh, these aren't lined up. That's the problem here. Okay. This one didn't go quite through so easily. There must be something thicker down on this end. I don't know. Well, I'm going to tell you, one and all, that was a whole lot easier than I anticipated. And since I always start in the center hole anyway, my needle's all the way through, already all the way through there. I am going to keep it clipped together while I sew it in. So I always go through the center hole. And I do like to secure one end of this thread. Now, one thing I didn't do, because I stuck the needle in there, I did not even it out before I started sewing, which is fine. I can do it afterwards. Okay, so in through the center, just a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So anyway, we had this great big house, and my mom and dad, who lived in Southern California, decided to come visit us. My brother must have been on school break, or maybe it was in the summertime. I'm not quite sure now. But all 3 of them came, and of course we had plenty of room, but my dad by then had broken his hips, and I don't know that he ever had hip replacement. So he was primarily in a wheelchair for the most part. And so I'm going to come back up through the center, and this sometimes for me, where it can get go a little bit awry. So my parents came. It was Christmas time, so my brother may have been on a school break. When you bring this back up to the center, you do want to make sure that your needle doesn't go through your thread, and then it comes out on the other side. Now this is pretty loosey-goosey right now, but we're going to tighten it up. No fear. Yeah, so my parents came to stay with us. And look what I did. I sewed it in upside down. Thank goodness I didn't unclip this. Well, let me just take this thread out. No big deal. We'll just fix it. Oh, the very thing I talked about and tried to avoid happened to me. I think this is actually the first time I've ever sewn a signature in upside down. So you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to just turn this around. We're going the right direction now. Rethread my needle and get this job done. So yeah, they came to stay with us. It seems like they were there though longer than just the Christmas vacation, but it's all kind of hazy to me now. I have to really think about it for a while, and then all of a sudden it'll all come back to me. But my husband and I had gone, we had a Volkswagen at that time that he had bought from another service member that went to Vietnam, was still in Vietnam. And we went to get a Christmas tree. My husband was always, it didn't matter what it was, this house, it does not matter what it was. I'm surprised he bought the Volkswagen, to be quite honest with you. It was just a good deal, and they were so popular at that time. We went to buy a Christmas tree, and we went to the Christmas tree lot at Montgomery Ward's, and he bought the largest tree they had on the lot. It was huge. It was huge. We had to we strapped that tree. It went from one end of the car to the other end of the car, just totally covering the whole car. I'm not even sure how we got home safely, but we did, of course. We brought this tree in the house. Fortunately, I don't know how tall these ceilings were, but they were very high ceilings. We brought this tree in, and David, I'm sure he trimmed the trunk down a little bit. We set it up in one of the parlor windows. It was so pretty. Of course, we had no decorations. I had a few from when we were in New Jersey for a while, and then in Tennessee, in Kentucky, when he was stationed there. But we didn't have enough for this huge tree, so we went out and bought Christmas decorations, and my mom and dad came. They loved the tree. My dad really enjoyed it. We set him up. We made a bedroom for him in one of those huge parlors so that he could be downstairs and have access, to the kitchen and the dining room, and there was a bathroom down there, so that worked out. And yeah, it was so nice to have him there. But my mother, who worked at that time at, I don't know if it was a care hotel. Oh, it's almost even. It ain't long enough. I'm not going to even them out anymore. She worked at some sort of a care home, or maybe it was just a room and board type situation. But she said, this house is so huge. That's what you guys should do with this house. And, David was always about taking on a financial something that might earn us some money. He was all about that. So he said, yeah, that's what we're going to do. And he just took it and ran with it. So we did take in a few boarders, but then when my mom got back to California, she said, maybe you should take in some of these people that have disability, some sort of disability, mental illness. So we said, my husband said, oh, okay. And I don't know if I was working at the time. I think I was working actually at one of the banks downtown. And I always tried to back David up in his ideas, as he did me. He supported me when I went to nursing school and when I worked. We never fussed about those kind of things because we did give each other support. So he contacted, I don't know if we contacted one of the social services or who, but we did. And wouldn't you know, the next thing we knew, we had a carload of patients dropped off at our house from one of the mental institutions, because at that time they were trying to close the mental institutions and move some of these people back into the communities that had been maybe misdiagnosed or had been in these mental health hospitals since childhood, some of them, They brought these men, because we were taking men, and they brought them each with a bag of clothes and a little bit of money. And they didn't tell us what their diagnoses were, what they were being, I'm just going through and flattening these out a little bit. They didn't tell us what their diagnosis was, what their medications were for. Now, at this time, I was not a nurse and had no medical training, and my husband certainly did not either. So we had no idea what was going on with them. Some of them we knew had been in the institution since childhood. Some had never walked on grass. Didn't know what it was like to be able to go for a walk outside. Some of them didn't know what money was. And matter of fact, when we tried to give them money, they didn't want it because they didn't know what it was or what to do with it. So let me tell you, that was a real challenge for two young people just starting out, literally just starting out in the world. And we now have these people that we're responsible for. Responsible for their well-being, responsible for their health care. We found a wonderful doctor. He was an osteopathic doctor, and he took all of these people that we were getting in as patients, and he was wonderful with them. And that was our start into adult foster care. Look, that's upside down. Oh, I'm so upset. Into adult foster care. And we continued in that for more than 20 years. We had different homes that we would buy and turn them into foster care homes, and then either sell them or move the clients to a bigger house. We ended up living on the third floor of that house, up on the third floor. And there was a little apartment up there. It had a living room, a good-sized bedroom, a full bathroom, and a small kitchen, but enough of a kitchen that when our daughter was born, I could prepare small meals in there for us, as well as, I need to glue this better, my. We will take care of that. And it had, running water, and, it was just a little apartment. I don't know if the previous owner had rented it out or if that was a purposeful thing, I don't know. But we utilized it as our apartment for a few years. And our first daughter was born while we lived in that house, and spent some of her toddler years there. One of the most notable things that happened while I was there with her as a newborn baby, my husband also was a truck driver, and he had just taken up truck driving not too long before this happened. But he was a long-haul truck driver, and he drove car haulers. So he could be gone, for a few days at a stretch, and I was pretty much left here with these clients with a newborn baby. I think we did hire a couple of helpers, but I think there was a young man that helped us, and he was there pretty much at night, and a lady that just came during the day to do the meals and stuff. And this one client we loved him. He was so nice, but he had a seizure disorder of some sort. And one evening, one of the other guys came up to the apartment to get me in. I can't remember what his name was now. How I could forget his name, I don't know. But it said, there's something wrong with him. There's something wrong with him. He's twirling round and round. Oh, and so I rushed downstairs, baby in tow, and here this poor man is. He's got his clothes, he's completely naked, completely, and twirling around and around. He thought he was on fire. It was so pitiful. So naturally I called an ambulance, and they came and got him and took him to the hospital. But I felt so bad for him, but needless to say, I was not a happy camper to be there by myself. But it's all right. It all worked out. Lesson learned, builds your character, prepares you for future incidents. Okay, so our signature is sewed in. Yay. And I've been on here now how long? 40 minutes. After 40 minutes. All right, so I need to start pulling together some pockets, and I do need a couple of belly bands. Now I did come up with some, I did another search on Etsy like I said I was going to do, and found one, I found actually several creators that had some library type of fussy cuts, and I do have the name for them, their name, but I just don't have it right in front of me. But I do intend to use, where are they now? I probably will use at least one bingo card. This has got a map on it. This has got an old, or maybe I'll use that one. I'll probably use at least one bingo card, if not two. I will also use these alphabet plates or letter plates of different fonts. These are 5 inches, and by the time I add, I mean I could add a gusset on here, I could mix some gussets and add it, but I think I'll just have to be very careful when I glue them down, and so at least anything that measures 4.5 inches will be able to go in here. I think I am going to need a couple of larger pockets though. There was one that came with the kit. That I pulled out. Here, this is a nice big one. There's actually another one like that if I need it. That I thought that this could maybe go in, or this other piece that I did could go in. So, so I need to get started on these. I will pull some more things together, and then when I come back on, I'm sorry this video took so long. I meant to be able to do this. I really don't want my videos to run that close to an hour because it's a long time for y'all to watch. I enjoy hour-long videos for the most of the time. But the nice thing about YouTube is if you're watching a video and it's too long for you to watch it at that time, you could just go back to it, which is great, you know. There's a lot of these library checkout cards for the books in here. Here's a pocket. So I do have some things to work with now. I didn't really have too much to work with before, but I do now. And most of these were cut out on my Scan and Cut, and it really did quite a good job. I was very happy. Because sometimes it takes forever for me to find the right setting to get the dark gray, a grayscale just to the right point, or even the color setting. You know, sometimes you have to use one or the other. So I need to get these pockets together. I need to decide on a couple of belly bands. I don't know that I'll use 2 belly bands, but I want to have them just in case. I think I'll cover this upside down page with either a belly band, where is it now? A belly band, or something else right here. I mean, this is one that could probably be glued to this. And where you can still see it's upside down, it does camouflage it another bit. And this needs a little bit more embellishment. I need a topper up here. But I think it goes all right. I've got this black here, and then, you know, I think it goes all right. So this will probably go in there. Just glue it right down. I think that'll work. All right, everyone, I am going to get off here for now. 45 minutes is long enough for you to hear me ramble on. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. I am trying to grow this channel into a community and then to become part of the larger community. So I will see you in my next video. Our next video will be continuing to work on this. This video is Friday for me, so this video will go up tomorrow, Saturday. And then Sunday's video, I may not make a video for Sunday, but I probably will. We'll again be continuing to work in the journal. And then on Monday we're going to do our Masterboard Monday. But instead of doing a masterboard, I'm going to make some of that Franken paper, which is so much like making a masterboard, except you could just use it as paper. So I'm hoping that I can get at least 3 or 4 pieces made. So that's the direction that I'm going in right now, and I hope to see you in the next video. Leave me a comment and have a wonderful rest of your day and be blessed. Bye-bye.